The snowstorm came fast, furious, and uninvited, a white monster swallowing the small town of Haverhill whole. In the dead silence of midnight, when most had already taken refuge under warm blankets and behind locked doors, a faint cry pierced the howling wind. A woman, walking briskly with her coat wrapped tightly around her slim frame, stopped mid-step. The sound came again, soft, muffled, and trembling, like a desperate whisper. She turned her head slowly, her eyes scanning the deserted street. There, curled up against a frozen bus stop bench, was a figure. And clutched against his chest, barely moving, was a little girl. They weren't homeless, not by the looks of their clothes, but they were clearly stranded, frost clinging to their lashes, their bodies shaking violently. Without hesitation, she ran toward them, her boots crunching through ice, unaware that this single act of compassion would unravel the most life-changing chapter of her life, and theirs. Sparkles if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of doing the right thing when no one's watching. Please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel, Rapple of Hope. Let's keep stories like this alive and growing. Sparkles. Tasha Monroe was a single mother of two, raising her boys in a two-bedroom apartment in a modest neighborhood on the edge of town. Life hadn't been fair to her. Widowed at 26, she had spent the last 8 years working double shifts as a nurse assistant, picking up every extra hour she could get. The bills never stopped. Rent, food, utilities, school clothes, it was a never-ending race against time and dollars. But no matter how tired she was, no matter how many nights she skipped dinner just so her kids could eat a little more, she never let the weight of her struggle rob her of her warmth. She still smiled at strangers. She still offered her seat on the bus. And she still believed that helping someone else could be the light in their darkest hour, even if no one had ever done the same for her. That night, after her shift at the hospital ended later than usual due to a staffing emergency, she had just wanted to get home. Her boys, Jamal and Tristan, were likely already asleep, dinner from leftovers warmed in the microwave. But as she cradled the freezing child into her arms and helped the unconscious man to his feet, she knew she couldn't walk away. She hailed a taxi with the last cash in her wallet and brought them to her apartment. No questions. No hesitation. Just warmth, food, and care. She laid the girl, who looked about 7, on her bed and wrapped her in extra blankets, warming her gently. The man, older, maybe in his 60s, had a faint pulse, and his breathing was shallow. She checked his vitals with the instinct of someone who had done it 1,000 times and made soup from scratch with what little she had left in her pantry. As she worked, she wondered who they were and how they had ended up like this. Over the next couple of days, the man, whose name was David Langston, recovered slowly. The girl, Lily, clung to him with silent trust, but opened up to Tasha in sweet, childlike ways. She had a soft voice, and her smile came in tiny bursts when Tasha made pancakes or let her color in old medical forms with highlighters. David, however, was more reserved. Quiet, observant. Watching Tasha with a kind of deep, silent awe that made her uncomfortable at times. She chalked it up to gratitude. After all, she had literally saved their lives. But there was more to David Langston than met the eye. What Tasha didn't know was that David was not some lost senior on the street. He was the CEO of Langston Holdings, a multi-billion-dollar company with ties to real estate, tech, and pharmaceuticals. He had been estranged from his son, who had died unexpectedly in a car accident weeks before. Devastated, guilt-ridden, and unsure of how to care for his granddaughter, David had taken Lily on an impromptu road trip to get away from the endless meetings, the boardroom chaos, the press inquiries. He had wanted to disappear. To find peace. But a wrong turn, a broken-down rental car, and a snowstorm had left them stranded in a town no one would expect a man like him to be. And then came Tasha. As the days passed, something shifted in David. He watched how Tasha woke up early, fed her boys, braided Lily's hair, and still managed to get herself dressed for work with a grace that defied her exhaustion. He saw the holes in her coat, the duct tape on her son's school shoes, and yet, not once, did she complain. She never asked who he was or what he could do for her. Her kindness was unfiltered, genuine. It cracked something open in David's chest that had been cold for far too long. He began to help, fixing the broken faucet, reading to the kids, even walking them to school when Tasha worked early shifts. Slowly, he became part of their home, even if only temporarily. For the first time in years, he laughed. He tucked Lily into bed without the weight of shame pressing on his shoulders. And each time he looked at Tasha, he saw not just a savior, but a woman whose spirit had survived every storm life had hurled at her. One night, while Tasha was out getting groceries, David checked on her laptop and quietly sent an email to his lawyer, his board, and his estate manager. He knew what he had to do. It wasn't just about gratitude. It was about redemption. And legacy. A few days later, after the roads had cleared and life returned to normal, David sat Tasha down. He explained who he was, and for a moment, Tasha laughed. She thought it was a joke. But when she saw his ID, his LinkedIn page, the photos online of corporate events, it all sank in. Her eyes filled with tears, not because of the revelation, but because she felt something deeper, fear, confusion, and a strange sadness that this bubble of peace was about to burst. But David wasn't done. He offered her a job. Not as charity, but because he had seen her strength, her intelligence, and her capacity to lead. He wanted her to manage a community healthcare foundation under his company, with full salary, benefits, housing, and support. More than that, he wanted to help her kids go to better schools, offer tutoring for Jamal who struggled in math, and help Tristan pursue his dream of learning robotics. And, if she allowed, he hoped to remain in their lives. Tasha sat in silence, her hands trembling. For so long, she had fought for every inch of stability. Now, here it was, offered freely, not because of pity, but because someone had finally seen her. Not just her struggle, but her light. She accepted, with tears, humility, and gratitude so deep, it made David cry too. Today, Tasha runs the Langston Hope Initiative, a national program that funds healthcare access in underprivileged communities. Her sons are thriving, Lily calls her Auntie Tasha, and David, now retired, lives close by, often seen picking the boys up from school or helping in the community garden. All because one woman stopped in a snowstorm. One moment. One act of pure, unselfish love changed everything. Sparkling Heart, if this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that kindness still exists, and subscribe to our channel, Ripple of Hope. Let's make compassion go viral. Sparkling Heart.